Well, good morning from the Heel. This is Heel Homestead. Tuesday morning, following a restful and enjoyable Labor Day holiday. I hope you found your Labor Day weekend the same. Uh, Last Tuesday, or Thursday, I'm sorry, I was intending on starting my leadership series. And which is usually the case, I might have got off on the wrong foot. Beautiful thing about controlling these videos is I can remedy it or start over or take a step back or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do this morning. Again, the topic is leadership. Now, Webster defines leadership as a person who leads a group of people or an organization. And I think that is willfully lacking in trying to explain a leadership position. To start with, it doesn't have to be a group of people. You take a shepherd over a sheep flock, he leads that flock of sheep anywhere that he wants them to graze or house or whatever the case may be. You take a completely automated factory, for instance, you'll have a leader that maybe controls everything robotic. So that's kind of a slight definition, in my opinion. To start with, I think you have to set the term leadership and break it down to leader. And I think you have to look what that involves in. And there's several steps to get there. You know, a lot of people think that I'm a supervisor. I supervise these 5 people. So therefore I'm a leader. And that's not really correct. You know, a supervisor is only tasks are to ensure that the little group he works, that he's in charge of, finishes X number of tasks in X number of manner in a certain amount of time. So a supervisor can't really be called a leader. It's a step in leadership, but he's not a leader. Next step would be manager. Many people get up to be manager and think, oh, I have arrived. I am a leader. Yeah, not so much. A manager can manage the system where no people are involved. It could be all computers. Manages a store, a center, a location. And he or she is primarily tasked with controlling what happens in a certain amount of time, usually a day, maybe a week. Some may require that you control what happens for an entire month. But that's about as far as it goes. A manager receives from the leadership the requirements, the steps, the tasks, and the manner in which all of it will be done. He takes those requirements and he manages those people for that amount of time. It's usually 8 hours a day. The next day may be an entirely different deal. So he has to manage that. Now that's certainly the next step in leadership. To be a leader really means that you call out what has to be done on a daily basis while projecting what needs to be done on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. Sometimes as far out, leaders are setting up what has to be done 5 years from now. So while managers and supervisors and even worker bees are worried about what's in front of them that particular day, a leader has to look at what is in front of him that particular day, what he wants to happen the next, and as far out as his plan needs to go. So there's a lot more involved in being a leader. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that people are not born leaders. Now, you've heard that before. Well, he's born to lead. Well, no, really, he wasn't. You know, the truth of the matter is, we're hunter-gatherers. we're really born to follow. Follow the food trail, follow, in the old days, they followed which the meat went, wherever the crops went, wherever the rain went. So I really don't buy off on the adage that someone is born to lead. Leadership is an acquired set of abilities that encompass the whole of that entity and foresees the track for that entity down the road however far he needs to. It begins with knowledge. Now, not to say that a leader has to have, all the knowledge it takes to run a certain entity. Because quite frankly, I have stepped into leadership positions before that I really didn't know anything about what they were doing, but I had the ability and the knowledge it took to understand people, to get the most out of people, employees, understand accounting methods, understanding the ebb and flow of retail, for instance. So certainly a leader brings a set of abilities to the table. Most of them are intangibles. Most of them are, partly school taught, largely life taught, to a great deal experience off of previous jobs he or she has had. So a good leader, a successful leader, should be able to be plucked out of one setting and put over in another setting and hit the ground running. Because he has surrounded himself or herself with people, quality employees that know how to do that job. And all too often, the leader just needs to get out of the way. Do the planning, do the overseeing, but a little bit further away touch than a manager or a supervisor. And it all begins with a mindset versus a physical set. How big you are, how strong you are, sometimes even how smart you are. And I have taught leadership so many times, and believe it or not, I get a lot of laughs and a lot of scoffs, but a lot of laughs also. When I talk to a group of people being a leader, I first talk to them about, how did you walk up in here? How did you walk in the room? How did you walk into the building? It matters. I had a protege one time, and we were going into a major retailer to talk to them about hiring some adults with disabilities. And I was watching this individual walk in the parking lot, and, very, very casual, clomp, 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 looking around, talking. And I just said, stop. Let's just stop right here. What are you doing? Oh, I'm going with you. Okay, where are we going? We're going to talk to that manager, right? Yes, we are. But that manager is very, very, very busy, as are everybody in that store, I hope. When we walk in there, we want to walk up with a outwardly visible goal, a reason to be there, a reason to take their time. When I walk up to a manager, I walk up with my stature and the way I present myself that makes him or her think I need to listen to what this person has to say. So I told this protege, you just kind of walk beside me, don't say anything, but I want you to watch. Watch the way I walk in here. I'll have purpose about me, a little bit of urgency, because what I have to say is very important. And that's what I want to convey. And I can't do that being tentative. I can't do that being casual. I've got to move and act with a purpose. We only get one shot. Once this little meeting with this manager is over, it either sets up future meetings and future successes, or we're back out on the car looking at another place to go. So how you present yourself as a leader is extremely important. As a leader, when I walked into a room, I expected everybody in that room to stop what they were doing and wonder what I was doing there. Not because of fear, but because I walked in there like I was important, what I had to say was important, and I had a purpose. And there was some urgency about my purpose. So that's the first step, I think, of pulling off leadership is the mannerisms in which you carry yourself. The mannerism in which you present yourself. You get one shot. You know, all too often I hear of people starting new positions, and in their mindset, they get this, finally, I get to make things done my way. My way. I'm the sheriff in town now. New sheriff in town. And they go in with that attitude. And it immediately alienates everybody in the room, everybody in the company, whoever they come in contact with. On the reverse of that, when I started a new gig, I walked in very quiet. Didn't say a whole lot, maybe for the first week or so, because I was analyzing what I saw people doing, how I saw people approaching their jobs or positions, and making mental notes of where improvement were needed. So a leader has to be extremely calculated. A leader has to have the ability to use critical thinking in everything they do. I've had many times where people have told me, hey, guy, we're not at work right now. You don't have to be all calculated like that. Well, the truth of the matter is, I disagree with that. If I'm a leader all the time. I don't want to turn it off and on. I really don't. Now here I am retired, leading myself, but I'm still leading. So if you decide you want to be a leader, remember several things. First of all, it's not an easy job. One of the hardest jobs you'll ever do, especially as a new leader. Because when you're a new leader, you have everybody judging you and looking at you from every side possible. The employees are looking at you, judging you. Your peers are looking at you, judging you. Your higher ups, your bosses in the corporation are looking at you and judging you. So you have all of these people, from every direction that are looking at you to see what that first impression is. You better make it a good one. Walk into that position like you deserve to be there. Walk in there like you have a purpose for that company. You have a purpose for that. Everybody from the janitor up, you have a purpose for them. And there's just a tinge of urgency in what you have to say and what you would have them to do. You do that, and it'll take a while before you become popular, but I promise you, if you'll stick to that, stick to policy, do the right thing while being kind, respectful, you'll have an easier time of it. Your employees will love you, they may not love you, but they will fall in line and be happy to do what you ask them to do, to work with you, to work along beside you. Because you have to remember, our employees are not our friends. They're not our relatives. half the time we're the enemy. Half the time we're family to them. Start that leadership position off with a sense of importance, of purpose, and a tinge of urgency. Well, that's it for this part. I'll go much deeper into it in the coming videos, so do me a big favor. Hang around. Listen to what I have to say. Discard what you don't like. I'm okay with that. Shoot me a message back and say, what are you talking about, you old fool? Because we're all still growing. Maybe I'll grow from your remarks. Give it a whirl. From the hill, goodbye.